the most recent news is about bank failures. All of this in the mix of rising interest rates and inflation as well, as our government continues to print massive amounts of money. Print, and print more, which leads to, guess what? Even more inflation. Now, in recent news, Silicon Valley Bank, that's in California, and also Signature Bank, that's in New York, as well as a few other banks, have failed. And this has resulted in bank runs, with the CEO of the Silicon Valley Bank conveniently taking out $3.57 million in stock just before the failure, and also after big investment firms and a certain investment TV personality, who I won't mention, advised that, this bank could be a great investment for 2023. Yeah, right. Yeah. But in any event, if this continues to spread, and that's called contagion, it will certainly affect every individual, every family, every business in our country. And with the banks of other countries maybe failing, perhaps this is going to spread throughout the world. Because even though our bank accounts are protected through the FDIC, which is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, for $250,000 per individually legally owned account, so that if one spouse, for example, has an account for $250,000 in their name, and then another spouse has an account in their name, and then if they also own a business account, they can be insured up to $750,000. But let's say an individual has $1 million in one of these banks. They will lose $750,000 from their account. So that individuals, families, businesses could all be affected, especially the mid to large businesses and investors who have millions of dollars in these accounts, and that they simply won't be able to survive. And as a result of this can create what's called a domino effect, which could then lead to a major depression of some kind. So with this in mind, what is the solution? Well, in the past, our federal government has conducted what are called bailouts, which is simply using our tax dollars to bail out the incompetent practices of big banks. You remember, too big to fail. But did you know that banks in the future may be allowed to do what are called bail-ins? They're seriously consider that, which is simply taking, or should I say, directly stealing money out of our bank accounts. And that's what was done in Greece in 2013, you'll remember. About bail-ins, Investopedia at Investopedia.com states, quote, that bail-ins are the new norm, and that Dodd-Frank, now that was legislation that was passed by Congress, aimed to protect taxpayers from costly bailouts by allowing banks to use bail-in provisions, putting the onus on and shifting the risk to unsecured creditors, debt holders, as well as common and preferred shareholders. This also includes depositors whose account balances are in excess of the FDIC insured limit, end quote. So what this tells us is that beyond the FDIC insured limit, your money is not safe if you have more than $250,000 in your account. And who knows if this limit might not be changed in the future. Now, here's a thought. According to Executive Order 14067, made by the President, that was in December 13th, 2022, our government is working to establish what is called a CBDC, or a central bank digital currency, which, if tied to a social credit system like we see in China today, and as I've also brought up in an earlier video, what will this result in? This will result in surveillance as well as control over everything that we do. In other words, all transactions which involve buying and selling, which could very well, in my opinion, lead to the mark of the beast, which I've talked about from in a past video in Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. So here's the question. Is a financial collapse being allowed? Is it perhaps being created so that a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, could be introduced and accepted by the public? I wonder. If people are desperate enough for their money, they might go for that. Just a thought. In any event, with all this said for today, I'm not a financial consultant, but as a Christian, I would recommend for everyone, first of all, put your faith in Jesus. God is in control. Watch and pray. I would also recommend that we prepare as well as people by diversifying our assets. That's one way to do it. Perhaps storing some provisions in case of an emergency, some cash, and contacting our legislators, of course, because it seems to me that things are happening at a very fast pace. So with this in mind, I'm going to end for today. Know that God is watching over us, and with that I'll end. So God bless.